Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be doing What if Goku was the Legendary Super Saiyan Part 2. Okay, so before I begin the video, I just got something to say to everyone. Thank you. This channel recently hit 100 subscribers, and I'm just blown away by it. I never thought when I started making YouTube videos, I would ever reach this milestone. And I thank all of you for hitting the big red subscribe button, and with all that out of the way, we can begin. So we started where we left off last time, with future Trunks and future Gohan beating the crap out of King Cold and Frieza, and explain to Z fighters what happens in the future. Before they leave, future Gohan gives some advice to Goku about how to control his legendary Super Saiyan form, because in the future he will definitely need to. And future Trunks gives some advice to Vegeta on how to not only go Super Saiyan, but go beyond it into Super Saiyan Grade 2. But Vegeta scoffs at this. He doesn't need these guys' help to become a Super Saiyan. So training for a fight against Cell begins, and Goku here mainly trains with Piccolo. Gohan would also train alongside them, but even though he's not a legendary Super Saiyan yet, he still has amazing potential as it is. Taking future Gohan's advice, Goku would one day transform the legendary Super Saiyan during a training session, see if he can control the massive power. And he's able to control it for a little bit, but when he tries to fight Piccolo, a single punch almost shattered Piccolo's ribcage, so clearly he can't control his ki well in this form. So Goku decides to train by using the next best thing, Kaioken. And with him using Kaioken times 20 a lot during training, both him and Piccolo see huge gains in training. And by the end of 3-year time skip, individually, both Goku and Piccolo would easily be able to one-shot Frieza and King Cold. So Z fighters meet up and go to the expected location where Cell is supposed to attack. And they can't see or sense anything, but after waiting for a while, they all see an explosion in the middle of the city. So they all go to where the explosion was, but instead of seeing a giant bugman, they end up seeing an old man with a mad fierce drip. Now it's clear isn't that Cell guy that future Gohan and Trunks told him about, but they all know one thing, this guy is a bad guy. Piccolo launches a blast to the old man, but instead of hitting him directly, the old man absorbs it into his energy gauntlets. Dr. Gero turns on to Piccolo and says to him it's going to take more than a simple energy blast to take him down. Goku sees this and is a bit nervous. This guy's definitely not Cell, but with the energy absorb technique, he can definitely be a big threat. Goku powers on the Kaioken times 10 and charges towards Dr. Gero. Before he can land an attack, someone has hit Gero so hard that he got sent flying out of the city. The person that kicked Gero is Vegeta, who's in Super Saiyan Grade 2. He says to the Z fighters they can all praise him later, but at the moment, he is an old man he needs to put down. Gero wakes up in the middle of a wasteland, and he's enraged. How could he be caught off guard by an attack like that? These fighters are stronger than he anticipated. As he is thinking this, he is joined by a new adversary, Android 19. But before they can do anything, Vegeta comes flying in and lands in front of the two. Vegeta begins boasting on how powerful his new Super Saiyan form is, but he's not here to fight some old rust buckets. He then launches a big bang attack towards him, but to his surprise, Android 19 absorbs the attack. 19 then charges towards Vegeta as the Prince of All Saiyans braces himself for battle. While that's going on, all the other Z fighters arrive to the battlefield, which catches the attention of Gero. He then starts laughing, saying that him and his creation will finally put an end to Goku and his friends. Piccolo says to Joe to cut the crap, they're not here to fight him, they're here to defeat Cell, so where is he hiding him? Wait, he knows about Cell? How does he know about Cell? He's not even told Android 19 about Cell. Joe begins to panic as he shoots a blast towards the ground, covering the whole area in dust as he makes his retreat. Goku tries powering up into Kaioken to chase the doctor, but as he does, he falls to his knees due to the heart virus. He then screams to everyone else to go stop Gero, they cannot let Cell be awakened. Piccolo takes all his weighted clothing and says to Gohan, take his father home and give him medicine, he's going to go after Gero. Before he can chase after him, he's stopped by someone. Vegeta stops Piccolo and says to him to let him wake up Cell. Once he stopped using ki attacks against Chocola's the Clown, his fight is way too easy, so maybe if Cell were to fight him, it would give him a good match. Piccolo called Vegeta an idiot, saying that he does not remember the story future Gohan told him about how Cell killed everyone, including Vegeta. And even when Gohan went legendary Super Saiyan, he still was enough to defeat Cell, so what makes Vegeta think he can defeat Cell? This enrages Vegeta. What, so a child with a temper tantrum is stronger than him, the Prince of All Saiyans? This Namek has officially done it. Vegeta goes to kick Piccolo in the gut, catching him off guard. Everyone tries to stop them, but they're just dug in the inevitable as Piccolo and Vegeta begin to fight. Gero dropped him towards his lab. He can't believe he has to use Cell as a final solution. When he first started his plan, he was sure that him and his other androids would be more than enough to defeat Goku, but when Goku showed off his legendary Super Saiyan form, all of his plans were foiled. Mechanical machinery would not be enough to defeat the legendary Super Saiyan. So he thought the only way to defeat Goku now would be with another Goku. He begins designing a creature made of flesh and blood, a creature with the DNA of Goku, all of his friends and enemies, Cell. being so powerful that when he obtains perfection, not even Goku will be enough to stop him. But the problem here is that Cell is not a machine. No matter what he does, Cell is a living organism who thinks and does with his own actions. And if he tried to command Cell what to do, the bio-android would end him in an instant. So he tried to advance him and Android 19 as much as he can and equip them both with energy gauntlets, see if that can counter the legendary Super Saiyan, but clearly it does not. Gero goes to open the door to his lab, but just as he's about to open it, a blast swirls flying right past him and disintegrates his hand. He turns around and is shocked to see the legendary Super Saiyan, but it's not Goku here. Gohan grabs Gero by the neck and says to him that Cell is a being that feeds off the fear of others, a being that will do more than just kill Goku, he'll go and kill the entire universe. In a gruesome scene, Gohan squeezes Gero's neck so hard that his entire head explodes. Trunks is terrified to see his master act like this, but Gohan doesn't say anything. Instead, he blasts off the door to Gero's lab and walks in. Gohan walks through Gero's lab for a bit and finally finds what he's looking for, an incubator with a large creature inside of it saying, Cell. Without hesitation, Gohan begins charging the blast, ready to disintegrate Cell once and for all, but just before he fires, someone screams for him to stop. Arriving to the lab is Krillin, along with Gero's Z-Fighters. Krillin says to future Gohan to not kill Cell or the other androids because technically they haven't done anything wrong and they can be redeemed. But Gohan tries arguing back, saying that Cell isn't like the other androids, they can't just reprogram to do what they want. If they release Cell, he will just kill them all. And there's no way a bad guy like him can be redeemed. But then Krillin smirks and points to two people behind him, a bruised up Vegeta and Piccolo. Krillin says that some of the Z-Fighters wouldn't be here if Goku didn't spare them. And the same could go for Cell and these androids here. And the one reason Cell is bad is due to his genetics. He knows two certain scientists, both individually, could be smarter than Gero, and they can genetically engineer Cell to remove the bad parts from his DNA, to make him less likely to be evil. Gohan is the first taken aback by this. Can someone like Cell really be redeemed like that? Then he smirks and says to everyone if his father were here, he would want to spare Cell. So Bulma is completely shocked when the Z-Fighters show up to the lab with 3 android pods and an incubator with a large creature inside of it, asking if her and her father can revenge engineered them to make them good. A few days after this, Gohan is doing some push-ups and things are going good. Goku is getting cured from the heart virus, they could get a few mutant allies in the future, and future Gohan and Trunks are trying to go back to their future. But unfortunately, all good things can't last forever. Gohan stopped doing his push-ups as he sensed a faint energy signature moving through the trees. At first, he didn't think much of it, but eventually the energy signature begins getting bigger and bigger and closer and closer. He can even faintly hear footsteps coming towards him. Eventually, he senses something right behind him, and as he turns around, he sees a giant figure looming over him. Perfect Cell. Cell says he didn't expect a time machine to work, and he didn't expect to see Gohan so soon. Cell says to Gohan to point him in the direction of his father, or be disintegrated. As he says this, he turns around and sees a familiar face looking at him, and he says, well, this just got interesting. Future Gohan is standing there, frozen in fear. No way this can't be real. He thought they prevented himself from showing up in this timeline. Without hesitation, Gohan powers in the legendary Super Saiyan and charges towards Cell at full power. Cell dodges the attack while saying, we've got a feisty one here. He then turns around and shoots a death ray through Future Gohan's arm, knocking him out of legendary Super Saiyan. Future Gohan looks up on Cell and asks him, how did he get here? Cell just laughs and says to Future Gohan, oh, he's going to enjoy hearing this. In another timeline, Future Gohan and Future Trunks are about to leave in the time machine to go to the past to seek help. Without the two noticing, Cell is nearby, and thanks to his Namekian genetics, he has great hearing and is able to hear the whole conversation. A time machine, they say, if he were to use that, he can finally go to the past and fight Goku. But first, he finally needs to put an end to his 2 play dummies. Jumping out from where he is hiding, Cell charges towards the weaker of the 2, Trunks. By pointing his hand out, Cell is able to put his entire arm through Future Trunks' head, killing the young Super Saiyan instantly. After seeing someone who is basically like a younger brother to him, Future Gohan goes berserk, turns into the legendary Super Saiyan, and charges towards Cell. Now Cell does have to admit, Gohan did a correct number on him, he actually thought he met as much. But thanks to his DNA, Cell is able to regenerate from the damage done by Gohan, getting small Zenkais in the process. And it seemed that Gohan never learned his lesson from when he first fought Cell. Going berserk makes him be able to read his movements. Cell splits himself into 2, one fights Gohan, the other goes in the air and begins charging a Big Bang attack. He then launches the attack, sending the young Super Saiyan into the core of the Earth. As the planet begins to explode, Cell jumps on the time machine, but then he realises he's a bit too big to fit in it. His solution? Rip off his legs, activate the time machine, and go back to the past. And that leads him to where they are now. Cell is a bit disappointed that Goku still needs time to recover, so he'll give him an offer. In 2 days' time, he will host a tournament to decide the fate of the Earth, and he expects all of Earth's strongest fighters to be there. After this, Cell flies away, leaving the two Gohans speechless. When Cell leaves, Kami telepathically tells all the Z fighters to meet on the lookout immediately. Kami explains to everyone what Cell just said to the two Gohans, in that the fate of the planet is decided by the winner of this tournament. Even with two legendary Super Saiyans, he still doesn't feel confident on winning. So to secure victory, they only need to squeeze as much training as they can in that 2-day period. In comes the hyperbolic time chamber, 1 day out here, 1 year in there. But to make sure they win, every warrior needs to be as strong as they can, so he turns to Piccolo and says he knows what to do. Reluctantly, Piccolo goes up to Kami and puts one arm on him and fuses with him, reuniting the nameless Namekian once and for all. So the two groups for the hyperbolic time chamber goes as followed. First group will be future Trunks and Vegeta, both going in to seize a level above Super Saiyan Grade 2. The second group is quite a big one, being future Gohan, Goku, present Gohan, and Piccolo. The good thing here is that Piccolo only needs water to survive, so all they need to do is pack extra water. But the bad thing is, they got an extra Saiyan, so won't be able to stay in there for the full year. Their goal is to have Goku get control over Legendary Super Saiyan, and maybe Gohan get access to Legendary Super Saiyan. Now future Trunks and Vegeta already have a big head start here, as they both have access to Super Saiyan Grade 2, and soon enough they'll both be able to access Super Saiyan Grade 3. But eventually, they both see downside of Super Saiyan Grade 3, so try to figure out an alternative solution to evolve Super Saiyan. Future Trunks remember on how his master Gohan got control over Legendary Super Saiyan, and that he focused more on efficiency than power. Taking that into note, the two tried to evolve Super Saiyan the way Gohan done, and this leads to both of them walking Super Saiyan Grade 4, aka Mastered Super Saiyan. Now this is amazing because not only does Master Super Saiyan have similar, maybe even greater power than Super Saiyan Grade 3, but it also has perfect heat control and won't be slowed down by their muscle mass. Even with this, the two still believe that there's something beyond Super Saiyan Grade 4, and the first one to access it is Vegeta. For his sheer determination to surpass Kakarot, Vegeta is the first person in history to access Super Saiyan 2. And not on behind him, Trunks is also able to access it. Now second group of fighters come in and begin training, but during their training, they wanted to get interrupted by someone. Bulma of all people have interrupted their training. She said that she saw news on how Cell's going to host a tournament in 2 days, so she decided, why not fight fire with fire? Her and her father were able to remove the bad parts of Cell's genetics. He still needs some time to grow. And when she heard about how time works in the time chamber, she decided, why not bring him in here? She then brings in an incubator with a relatively large creature inside of it, still growing. After that, future Gohan still continued trying to get Goku control of his legendary Super Saiyan form. And eventually, by using the tips and tricks he used to control his form, Goku, the original legendary Super Saiyan, finally gains control over his legendary Super Saiyan form. During this time, they tried to get present Gohan to access the legendary Super Saiyan, but it's not as easy as regular Super Saiyan. He needs to go through extreme anger that he has never felt in his life to access the legendary Super Saiyan. And by training alongside the legendary Super Saiyans, Piccolo gets so strong that his base form might surpass the legendary Super Saiyans in their base form. On their last day of training, Cell finally breaks out of the incubator and stands in front of the group, often hoping that Bulma and Dr. Breed's work finally paid off. For a while, Cell just stands there looking at them, but eventually he gets off a chaotic smile that sets future Gohan off. He turns into legendary Super Saiyan and kicks Cell so hard that he's sent flying out of sight. Everyone manages to calm Gohan down, but Cell is anything but calm. Cell angrily stomps over to future Gohan and screams at him, asking why he attacked him for no reason. But after sorting out the differences, everyone eventually leaves the time chamber. When they exit, future Trunks and Vegeta are a bit uneasy after seeing Cell. He looks so creepy, not like the Cell they've seen before. When they exit, Cell senses something that catches him off guard. Wait, no way, this can't be real. Before anyone can stop him, Cell immediately flies off the lookout. About an hour later, the rest of the Z-Fighters show up to the Cell Games arena, but instead of Cell greeting them, he then shouts at them. What the hell is this? Are they trying to fight fire, but getting another Cell to fight him? That is truly pathetic. Imperfect Cell regenerates all his injuries, and says the perfect Cell, they see who's the pathetic one soon enough. But just before they all fight, they all send a terrifying key signature come towards them. A godlike being emerges from a car and challenges Perfect Cell to a fight. This being is revealed to be Mr. Satan, aka Mark. Yeah, but all jokes aside, Cell still slapped Mr. Satan away, kind of almost killing him in the process. Anyway, back to Big Green Monkey fights Genetic Bugman. Cell smirks and says to everyone in this arena with the power of the legendary Super Saiyan all get their genetics from one person, Goku, the original legendary Super Saiyan. For so long, he's been craving to fight Goku, but now he finally can, and he challenges Goku to come from the arena and fight him. Goku walks on the stage, closes his eyes, and turns into a controlled legendary Super Saiyan as he says to Cell his reign of terror will end here. Now, this fight will be similar to how Goku fought Cell in canon. Maybe Goku does a bit better here though. But Goku eventually realizes that if he keeps doing this, he'll get angrier and angrier and could eventually go berserk, so he decides to tag out while he still can, and calls up his son Gohan to fight Cell. Cell at first thinks there's some big joke fighting Gohan, but Goku explains to him that Gohan has more potential than him, and will make a much better opponent than he is. After fighting Gohan for a bit, Cell realizes that he's not able to access the legendary Super Saiyan form, so he wants to see if he can bring it out of Gohan forcefully. Cell spawns in a lot, and I mean a lot, of Cell Juniors and tells them all to go towards the Z Fighters. Most of them go to attack future Gohan because he's the biggest threat in the field. At this point, since future Gohan's literally a man too angry to die, future Gohan's able to take on all Cell Juniors, even all coming at him at once. Future Trunks and Vegeta both power up into Super Saiyan 2 and begin fighting their own group of Cell Juniors. And with their teamwork, they're doing pretty well. At one point, Vegeta gets so angry that he grabs one of the Cell Juniors and headbutts him so hard that his head explodes. Piccolo and Goku take on their own group of Cell Juniors, and with their great synergy, they're probably doing the best to take down the Cell Juniors than anyone else. The person with the least to deal with is Imperfect Cell, because even though they don't look like their father, the Cell Juniors are pretty confused because he has the same key signature as him. And Imperfect Cell finds this quite funny, so he doesn't do anything here. Even with all this, the Cell Juniors are able to overpower the Z Fighters. They beating up Gohan, begs Cell to call off the Cell Juniors. This annoys Cell. Sad? Why is he sad? He doesn't want him to be sad, he wants him to be angry, become the legendary Super Saiyan. But Cell eventually smirks. Fine, extreme requests require extreme consequences. He commands all the Cell Juniors to go attack future Gohan, he doesn't want him to see what he's about to do. Cell throws Gohan in the air and paralyzes him with telekinesis, he wants him to see this. Cell charges towards the Z Fighters, inform Present in particular. Caught off guard by this, Goku screams for Cell to wait, but it's too late. Cell stabs his arm right through Goku's chest. Cell looks up at Gohan, expecting to see a reaction from him, but to his surprise, Goku tries weakly saying something to him. Goku calls Cell an idiot, and he says to him, all of that legendary power building up inside of him is now going to be let out due to him making a hole in Goku. And he's not joking. The entire area is covered in a green glow as Goku's chest begins emanating a light green. The Z-Fighters go and grabs everyone who can't fly and try flying away as fast as they can. Cell screams as the energy coming from Goku's chest explodes. The Cell Games arena and the area around it has been turned into a rocky wasteland. Lying on the ground is Goku, almost on the brink of death, but thankfully, Krillin comes with a sense beam and is able to heal Goku's injury. Everyone arrives back to the area, but they can't see Imperfect Cell anywhere. But just as I say this, Imperfect Cell comes out of nowhere and regenerates all of his limbs. He says he intentionally didn't fly far from the blast so he can get his Zenkai after it's done. But wait, if a weaker version of Cell survived the blast, then that means Super Perfect Cell has come back from the brink of death and says to everyone let the final round of the Cell Games begin. Gohan, who was launched into the atmosphere by the explosion, is just sitting there, motionless. He's struggling to sense anything. Is everyone dead? None of this would have happened if he wasn't so scared. All he needs to do was get angry, and right now, he's angry. Very angry. He screams that he's gonna kill Cell as he's surrounded by a green aura they were all too familiar with. Back on Earth, the only two fighters still standing are Imperfect Cell and future Gohan. Cell begins laughing as he says, no matter how many Cells or Gohans he pulled from other timelines, there's still mere bugs to his perfection. Face it, the only being that can even challenge his perfection is someone who is truly legendary. Just as I said this, Cell's hit so hard in the neck that his head nearly came flying off. Cell looks around to see him with that attack, but what he sees terrifies him. What seemingly looks like Gohan slowly begins walking towards Cell, and as he stops, it is revealed Gohan had finally transformed into legendary Super Saiyan. Thinking that he just got a lucky shot, Cell charges towards Gohan and kicks him in the face. Gohan merely flinches as he then retaliates with a devastating headbutt. Cell wipes a bit of blood from his nose and says to himself, this can't be happening, there's no way his child can have this much power, even as the legendary Super Saiyan. The two begin to fight, but to Cell's surprise, his strategy of protecting his opponent's movements don't work here. Gohan's just so much more powerful than him that his attacks barely even hurt him. Cell begins to debate with himself a bit. The only way to defeat Gohan here would be to utilise the power of the legendary Super Saiyan, but that means his strategy of predicting his opponent's movements will be thrown out the window. Ah, screw it, he says. Cell begins utilising the power of the legendary Super Saiyan as he begins to bulk up a bit. He can slowly feel his sanity drifting away from him, but it's the only way he can win this fight. Cell is currently using his version of the legendary Super Saiyan, but the only change to his appearance is that he's bulked up a bit and he has no pupils. The two begin to fight once more, and there is no martial arts being used here, just merely punches, kicks and headbutts, as we expect from two legendary Super Saiyans fighting. As they are fighting, Cell is hit by incredibly powerful attacks from multiple different angles. Goku, future Trunks, Vegeta, Piccolo, and future Gohan has all come to assist Gohan in the fight against Cell. Now even though Cell is berserk, he's able to tell here, if he keeps fighting like this, he will lose. Cell laughs as he's surrounded in green electricity as he begins charging a legendary Kamehameha. In response, Gohan begins charging his own legendary Kamehameha, and the previous said fighters begin charging their own attacks as well. They all launch their attacks towards each other and a massive beam struggle ensues. Cell's attack was slowly being overpowered, and to add salt on the wound, he senses someone right behind him. Imperfect Cell begins laughing, saying that he can't believe he resulted using that legendary power. Perfect Cell seems confused, but Imperfect Cell explains, so many different DNA and so many different creatures inside of one body. And understandably, certain parts of DNA will clash out other parts of DNA, but the fault is with Goku and Vegeta's DNA. On the surface, the two pieces of DNA seem similar, but the power he's trying to utilize only comes from one of those pieces of DNA. And when that legendary Saiyan DNA clashes with the normal Saiyan DNA, his power will become even more uncontrollable than the legendary Super Saiyan itself. He'd already lost the battle as soon as he used that power without knowing the consequences to it. From the start, he never was or ever will be perfect. He truly is just pathetic. Perfect Cell angrily says to him, saying he's going to tear him limb from limb. Imperfect Cell says he would like to see him try, as he stabs his tail on Perfect Cell's back and begins absorbing his energy. Now, he doesn't absorb Perfect Cell fully, but he has absorbed enough to knock him back into consciousness. Let's end this, Imperfect Cell says, as he jumps to where all the other Z fighters are and launches his own Kamehameha. The blast completely engulfs Cell, and before he dies, he says to himself, but he was meant to be perfect. Gohan collapses to the ground laughing. Finally, it's all over. Cell is finally gone for good. After the Cell games, Bulma will continue to reprogram the other androids, but then she's visited by someone she really did not expect to see. Imperfect Cell casually walks into the lab. Bulma asks him how he got in, but he tells her not to worry about that. He then asks Bulma a very odd request. He explains to her that him and the Cell from the Cell games look different, not because they're from different timelines, but the Cell at the Cell games was perfect. And he is currently in his imperfect form, 1 out of 3 stages. And to reach his perfect form, he needs to absorb both androids 17 and 18. But he knows he can't just absorb them, so as an alternative, he asks Bulma if he can mix their DNA of his so he can make him perfect in any way. Bulma says she'll try her best, but then still brings up another request. One of the reasons why the Cell game's lost is that he tried to use a power that only small amounts of DNA could actually do. So to be able to control that power, most of DNA needs to comprise of the legendary Super Saiyan's DNA. It's a very odd request, but Bulma says she'll see what she can do. So she explained to her two Gohans about the situation about Cell, so they both gave her a strand of their hair, both containing each of their DNA. And she's also able to get a bit of DNA from Android 17 and 18 without actually waking them up. So after all that's done, Cell goes back in the incubator for God knows how long. The day for future Gohan trying to go back to the future has arrived, and hoping the new power they achieve, this should be more than enough to defeat Cell in their timeline. In the future, the two arrive to a giant rocky terrain which is completely silent. Future Gohan slowly walks over to the person he's looking for, and gets in a fighting position when he sees him. Cell turns around and says to Gohan, this is his 4th and final attempt to fight him, and if he loses, the entire Earth will blow up. Cell also gets in the fighting position, but just as he's about to fight, he sees a large blast heading towards him that he's barely able to dodge. The person who launched the blast is revealed to be Super Saiyan 2 Trunks. Cell unknowingly fires a blast at him, telling him to not get in the way. But the blast is kicked up by Gohan, who's already a legendary Super Saiyan. He says to Cell he'll repay for everything he's done to him and the Earth. The two begin to fight, but I wouldn't really call it a fight, because it's just a brutal beat down Cell because Gohan's way too powerful for him at this point. Within mere minutes, Cell's already on the ground with most of his bones broken. Cell simply asks Gohan how did he get so much power? Gohan says that Cell might consider himself perfect, but he is legendary. In the final last ditch effort, Cell says to Gohan that he was seen in hell as he tries to launch a death beam towards the core of the planet. Before he can launch the attack, his arm is blasted off by Trunks, who screams for Gohan to finish it. Gohan throws Cell in the air as he says to him this is for Piccolo, Krillin, and everyone else is killed as he launches a legendary Masenko. The attack hits Cell directly, and as he screams in pain, Cell is slowly reduced to nothingness. After that, Gohan powers down and sits on the rock he's standing on and begins to tear up. It's over. It's finally all over. And this end to the Cell saga. This will leave off for now.